Okay, we are in Bank and we're about to head into the Stone Health Clinic and we are going to do a deep dive into my physical stats. Let's check it out. It's quite cool, they do a little iPad entry.
Lie on the table, Josh, with your head up here,
Okay.
on your back, and try and center yourself down the table, away from you about an inch or two. One more. Perfect, lovely. Okay. So just relax. Feet. And we've got a little fly in here, so it doesn't come near you. All right. Comfortable?
Yeah.
There we go. So let's start things moving. All right, Josh, so what you've got to do is be still, but I want you to be relaxed, okay? Okay, lovely. You can get up and get changed.
Brilliant. Thank you.
All right.
Brilliant.
Okay, so we're going to go through the report. As I go through the report, first of all, excuse me, let me introduce these notes. So these you'll take home with you. This is a great reminder of the consultation. Excuse me. On the back here, Josh, are these blue tables. These I'm going to use to compare your results to thousands of other men in your age group, so that will help to put the numbers into perspective. Okay. Right. So in this table here, we can see that your total fat mass is 16.2 kilograms. Okay. Now I'll put that number into perspective, but I would say probably to be low fat, you certainly want to probably be below 15 kilograms of fat, and maybe down to something like 13, even 12, depending on how far you want to go. Okay. But I'll put the numbers into perspective. Okay. So that's your overall fat mass, 16.2 kilograms. If that's fat mass, this is fat-free mass. Okay, so 66.7 approximately. That's fat-free mass there. Okay, and then your total mass, and then your body fat percentage, which is what everybody comes to find out, is here at 19.6%.
Okay.
So everyone's going to go, oh, 19.6%, that's high. First of all, Dexa does tend to give a number that's a little higher than other measurement methods. We're using an X-ray to measure all of the fat in all of your body. Okay.
Yeah.
The other thing to say about fat measurement is every measurement method will give you a different result. Okay. So Dexa, underwater weighing, skin fold calipers, bioimpedance scales. But the biggest strength of Dexa, in my opinion, is its consistency between scans. Okay. So if you change body fat by even a small amount, we will pick it up. Okay. And if we detect a change, it means you've changed. Okay. There's no hydration, there's no human error. We simply measure what's on the table. Okay. The other thing to say about body fat percentage is we're going to move beyond body fat percentage. It's the number everybody obsesses about, but it's not, as we'll see, the best number for measuring your fat. Okay, so we're going to, Dexa allows us to give you better numbers in a minute. Okay, the blue chart here is also plotting you against US data. Okay, that's what these columns here. Is that okay so far?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any questions?
No.
All right. So the next thing on the report is simply your BMI, okay, this rainbow spectrum here, nothing to do with Dexa, just your height and weight on the scale. Of course, BMI is poo-pooed a lot these days, but it does apply to most people. All right. It is an actual observation of how we do grow. It's not some retrofitted formula. But the people it doesn't apply to, probably you, are people with very high muscle mass. So BMI obviously is based on your weight. It's how much you weigh compared to your height. And you could be 82 kilos of fat or muscle, you still be 82 kilos. Okay, BMI can't tell the difference. Sure. So what Dexa allows us to do is to split and analyse your fat-free mass, your fat and your fat-free mass. Okay, so now we can get a true picture of body composition. How much of you is body fat? How much of you is lean? Essentially muscle. Okay, so the meat of the report now happens in these tables here. Okay, we've got a bunch of numbers here based purely on your body fat, your adipose tissue, and a couple of numbers here based purely on your lean mass, which I'm going to read as your muscle. Okay, so this is the meat of the report. I'm going to go through these numbers one by one, and this will now start to tell us about your body composition. So this is Europe's biggest Dexa body composition database. Okay, there's more than 12,000 men who've been scanned at body scan over the last 9 years. Okay. It is not, however, a random sample of the UK population. Okay, they're all body scan clients, but it's very big, it's very broad. I have people so obese they don't fit onto the table. I have people very good at their sport, but I don't have any professional athletes. Okay, so it's a good broad sample to compare you to. The table at the top, as you can see, is about fat, and the table at the bottom is about muscle and bone. Okay, so we've taken those 12,000 men and we've split them into percentiles of the population. So the 50th percentile here is the midway, the median, the average. Okay. So when it comes to body fat, as we can see from the arrow here, we want you probably want to be down here. Okay, so less fat and lower fat markers than everybody else. When it comes to muscle and bone density, I'm sure you want to be up here, higher muscle mass than everybody else. Okay, so this is high muscle, low fat, high fat. Okay, so I'm going to start plotting your numbers and you'll see what the numbers mean. Right?
Brilliant.
So the first number we come to in the fat table is your body fat percentage, and we saw that it's 19.6%. Okay,
Sure.
You're 32 years old, and 19.6% places you about there, should we say, about the 35th percentile.
Okay.
Meaning your body fat percentage is higher than 35%, but less than 65% of men in your age group.
Sure.
Okay. Now that's body fat percentage, but I said we're going to move on beyond it. The reason body fat percentage is not a good number for measuring your fat is, if you think about it, it is a single number, just like weight and BMI, right? And that one number is actually trying to assess two things at the same time, your fat and your muscle. Meaning, you can change your body fat percentage with a change in fat, but you can also change it with a change in muscle, okay? So what Dexa allows me to do is to give you two numbers, right?
Okay.
One number uniquely for fat, one number uniquely for muscle. You want the fat one low and the muscle one high, okay? The fat number on the report is here, okay, and it's known as your fat mass index, your FMI. And as you can see, it's how much fat you carry in relation to your height. Sure. It's basically BMI for fat. Okay. So your fat for height, Josh, is 5.7. Okay. We now plot 5.7, and now we get a very different picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Not in your favour.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't really want to show that to the camera. We can close in on that, right?
So yeah. Okay.
So your body fat percentage puts you in the 35th percentile. Your fat for height puts you above the 50th. Okay. So you carry more fat than an average man in your age group, in your height. Okay.
Interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's the reason we don't use body fat percentage. For someone like you, body fat percentage paints a rosier picture than is actually the case.
Interesting.
You carry more fat for your height than more than half the men your age.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, you're about to go on a cut, right? So you want this number down. This is the number I'm going to use in a minute to give you a fat loss target. Okay. Now, how ripped do you want to go?
In the space of, say, 8 to 10 weeks, I'd like to lose. I'm probably going to estimate. I mean, I can only estimate in terms of kilograms. I'm looking at probably 5 to 7 kilograms.
Okay.
If anything, that's quite aggressive.
Right. Yeah, 5.
I'd say four in the
4 to
space.
6,
Anything in between, like 4 to 7.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, actually, look at your kilogram drop, the kilogram amount you lose. But certainly to be ripped, you probably want to be about here on the fat mass index table, about 3.6 or so. So we'll see how many kilograms of fat that is to get you there.
Okay.
All right, and then work out calories for time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do that shortly. Okay. All good?
Yeah.
Right. We'll return to the fat table. These three small numbers I'll just talk briefly about. These tell us about your fat distribution, how the fat is spread around your body. The bigger those distribution numbers are, the more you carry your fat up top, in the trunk and the belly. If the numbers are smaller, you carry it more in your limbs, but particularly your legs. Okay. So I'm just going to plot a couple on here. This number's comparing your android gynoid regions, a bit like hip to waist. So at 1.1, you're about here.
Yeah.
Okay. And this one, trunk to limb, is 0.78. That's way down here.
Right, so
Okay.
much fat there.
Yeah, all right. So if we look at these two numbers here, Josh, this one first of all is looking at your overall body on a macro level, if you like. And actually, you have quite a female gynoid distribution. Okay. You carry your fat much more in the legs compared to men your age than in the upper body. All right. Now that is a good thing. Some men are embarrassed about it, but it's a healthier fat distribution pattern to have.
Okay.
And also, you'll see your abs quicker, typically. Having said that, this number here is now really talking about your belly and thighs, these android and gynoid regions. And in fact, you actually do have so whilst overall you carry your fat more in the legs, you've got a bit of a hot spot here.
Yeah.
So that's going to defeat the abs.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right.
Kind of overrides it.
Yeah, so of course, nothing you can do about your fat distribution. You can't spot lose fat. As you lose fat overall, then we'll see how this changes.
Brilliant.
Okay? The last number on the fat table is the health marker, because this is visceral fat, what we call VAT.
Yeah.
So visceral fat is the fat around your organs. Bad fat linked to things like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, etc. Now we definitely want that number to be below 100. That's classed as normal. Okay, and at 41, 42, you are way down here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so that's very good. So normally, now your ethnicity is helping you with this. Black people carry the lowest amount of visceral fat.
Okay.
So normally we would expect your visceral fat to be in line with your fat for height, as high as up here at 65, and you're way down there at 42. Okay, but that's probably where I expect it to be. Okay, so you've got very low fat, visceral fat.
Visceral fat.
That's very healthy. Okay. So if we quickly look at that table as a visual of the data there, Josh, the one number you can do anything about is this one. Okay, fat for height based on that 16 kilograms of fat. Okay, so get that down, and probably we'll see some fat come off the belly.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay,
Yeah.
all good?
Yeah.
All right, any
Yeah.
surprises?
You know what? Just I think the FMI, not a surprise, but it was quite like that was the first time it was somewhat alarming. But nothing too like worrisome or anything like that. I feel like I can override that quite quickly.
Sure.
If I just put the right things in place. But the interesting thing you mentioned was just that ethnicity-wise, like black people.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to document. Like, do you know any reason why black people have less visceral fat in general?
I don't know why in general, can't give you a reason for that, but we find different ethnicities. So black people tend to have the lowest, kind of Caucasians in the middle, and then South Asian and Indian people have the highest.
Okay.
Okay. There is a lot of people watching this may have heard of a book by Peter Attia called Outlive.
Yes.
Okay. So he's into longevity and he advocates DEXA scans. And he's not interested in body fat percentage. He says that's the least interesting number on the report. But he's interested in visceral fat, muscle mass, which we'll come to, and bone density. And when it comes to visceral fat, he draws an analogy of our subcutaneous fat stores being like the water level in a bathtub. So our fat levels go up and down. We've got calories coming in through the tap. We've got calories going out through exercise.
Yeah.
Now he says that as we turn on the calories too much, then our subcutaneous fat stores spill over eventually over the bath. And it's when they spill over that we then lead to visceral fat. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the crucial thing is, he says, some people have a bathtub, and some people have a bucket. Okay. And some people have a jacuzzi. So if you take that analogy, then we could say that black people tend to have a jacuzzi. They can store a lot of fat in the subcutaneous stores before we start spilling over into visceral fat.
Interesting.
Okay. So just potentially what it could be.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's your key number to get the fat down, which is your objective.
Will do.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, we are done. So it turns out I have female fat distribution. I am above average in terms of fat mass, which is not a good sign, but that's why we're here. We're here to improve on that. But it also turns out that I'm quite high in muscle in terms of my distribution as well. So that's also a good sign. So I'm high muscle, high fat-ish, and the distribution is mainly female predominant. Take that as you will. I'm looking forward to coming back in 8 weeks' time to review how much that has changed. See if I can go from, say, above average in terms of how much fat I have to hopefully below average. That's the aim. We talked about calories, we talked about protein. I'll talk to you a little bit more about my training routine, what it is that I'm going to do from a training and nutrition point of view to then change that perspective and get shredded. But also, more importantly, improve my health markers. That's why I'm here to do this, is to show what a black man can do to improve their health.